Good morning and welcome to the latest Eurachnos podcast. My name is Martha Hayes and I'm here today with my colleague Laura Palczynski, who is going to talk to us about the Eurachnos vision paper. Morning, Laura, how are you?
Hi, Martha. Yep, I'm good, thanks. You?
Yes, very well, thank you. Do you want to start this by just outlining to us what a vision paper actually is and what does it set out to achieve?
Yeah, so a vision paper is kind of putting forth in an ideal world what your dream system would be, and it's kind of your wish list of without considering feasibility of whatever you want, what your ideal would be. And so for Eurachnos, with one of our main aims being to develop a blueprint prototype for an open source knowledge reservoir on the internet. So the title of our vision paper in Eurachnos is Developing High Impact, the Future European-Wide Open Source Knowledge Reservoir for Agriculture and Forestry. And that really is talking about what we want to see in that. So in terms of what it should achieve and what systems need to be in place in order to achieve that.
And who actually formulates this vision paper? Who are the brains and the ideas behind this dream vision? Is it the Eurachnos Consortium, or do you have external parties contributing to this?
Yeah, so the vision paper was based on kind of the initial first year work of Eurachnos. That informed our discussion with our Strategic Innovation Board, which is a panel of 8 experts from various different organisations who have expertise in either knowledge transfer with regards to agriculture and forestry, or platform development, and there's quite a few international bodies and things included in that. So there's a range of expertise. So they gave feedback and we discussed these different wants for these platforms and discussed how that could work and how that could look like in a dream platform.
Interesting. And I noticed reading through the vision paper, there's a lot of discussion around high impact. In your view and your experience from writing this vision paper, how do you achieve high impact? How do you ensure that the project is high impact?
Yeah, so, I mean, at a very basic level, impact is people seeing the information, visiting the platform, seeing the information contained in it, and then making use of that information at a very basic level. So in order to achieve high impact, first you need to attract people to view the platform. So you need to get it well known. You need to use well-known channels, well-known people in the industry and so on to spread the word of the platform. So then you get people to look at the platform. You then need the information to be engaging, useful, easy to find, have a really good user interface so that people have a positive experience of finding information on that platform. And then they're more likely to return, use the system again, talk about it to their friends, family, colleagues, co-workers, and then you kind of get that snowball effect of people thinking that it's really good one-stop shop for agriculture and forestry knowledge. So, and yeah, that's kind of what we've focused on, is making it a positive experience. So how do we achieve that? We make sure that we can get, so that it's an easy process for projects to upload their knowledge onto the platform, that there's a system in place to make sure that the information is kept up to date and relevant and is high quality. But there's also still the issue of language being a barrier. If you want it to be EU-wide knowledge, a lot of these projects primarily use English as the main language. So ideally, in an ideal world, we hope that automated translation software really progresses in the next few years, so that automated translations don't result in any odd translations with weird phrasing that doesn't make sense. So all of these things to consider for a platform.
That is very interesting, and a good overview, so thank you for that. This sort of leads on to my next point. How far does it differ between the reality and the dream in terms of the vision paper and the Eurachnos project? How far apart are these two aspects?
Yeah, so in terms of developing an idea and talking to more computer engineers and developers, they like to know what you want first and foremost. They go, don't worry about how it works. That's my job. I'm the engineer. I'll design it. I'll build to your specification. What do you want? So it's the first stage of being able to say, this is our dream. It's then someone else's job, thankfully not mine, to then look at how you can actually accomplish these things. So if you have a language translations software company, you might go, okay, so the feedback is that we need to improve these translations. How can we go about doing that? Or we need to build a platform where it's got really good search function. How can we go about doing that? And really keep on having that iterative approach of, we've tried to do this, does it meet what you want? And build on that and reflect and try to constantly improve. And that never really stops. Particularly online, everything changes so rapidly that you're constantly having to develop and improve the experience.
An ever-changing world, so to speak.
Yes.
So as well as achieving this high impact knowledge reservoir, what were the other key focus areas of the vision paper?
Yeah, so the other main area, because most of what we've covered really ties back into achieving high impact. So making it easy to access, easy to find, easy to use, have a positive experience. So that's kind of the first stage of having a really nice platform. But then you come into the issue of, well, how do you sustain that platform? Where is the money coming from to get the staff in place to be able to keep content up to date in order to keep these updated systems in place and relevant and functional? So that's where you need to develop some sort of business model or levy funding groups in order to show that there's public good for it. So it should have public funding perhaps, or whether you consider something like, do we allow adverts on there, but then does that really ruin your user experience? So it's a lot of different things to consider. And as I say, vision paper is the dream. So we kind of put out a few different ideas of how it could be sustained. But again, it's kind of this further step down the line of how do we sustain a platform like this? We still haven't got a particularly good answer for that just yet.
And based on that answer you just gave, what would be your recommendations for other projects which are in the process of formulating a vision paper?
Yeah, I think it can be quite easy to get hung up on what's currently feasible and what's currently possible. So for our Eurachnos vision paper, we looked at a timescale of 5 years. You can choose whatever timescale is appropriate to what you're working on and what you're developing a vision for. But technology changes a lot in 5 years. So as I say, we kind of put in there that we're going to assume that language software will have improved sufficiently in that period. It's really easy to get hung up on what doesn't work, what needs improving, how's that actually going to be possible. Try to avoid that. Try to put that out of your mind. What do you want? And then the next step is, how do we get there? Which is then when you bring in, well, what's currently feasible, what isn't, and build on that.
Great, thank you, Laura. And for any of our listeners who are interested in actually reading the vision paper, how can they find and access this paper?
Yeah, so the vision paper, along with all of our other Eurachnos outputs, are being uploaded to our Eurachnos website at eurachnos.eu. and I'm sure you can put a link to the document in the podcast description for them as well.
I'm sure we can. Thank you very much for chatting to me this afternoon, Laura.
No problem. Thanks, Martha.
The Arachnis project has received funding from the European Union's Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Programme under Grant Agreement number 817863.
Royalty-free music from Ben Sound.